Welcome back to Two Gals and a Glass Half Full. Today we're going to be talking about strength training and how long does it really take for our muscles to get stronger? Because sometimes we feel like it's a few weeks, but reality, it actually is a little bit different. Before we get started, Dr. Jess, what is in your glass?
So I'm working on my smoothie this morning. I've got I'm halfway through, which is good. So lots of good stuff, protein mixed in with fruit and some homemade cashew milk, microgreens, chia seeds. I just throw like a bunch of stuff and blend it. That way it's like all in one cup, and then I don't have to think about anything else until lunch. So Dr. Bobbie, what's in your glass?
So I'm really working on, I recently changed my schedule and I realized how much water I'm not drinking, and how much other not so good stuff I am drinking. So really trying to change that around and drink more water. So almost through one whole one this morning already.
I love it. So, as Dr. Bobbie alluded to, today we're going to kind of answer a bit of a commonly misunderstood question, which is how long does it take for me to actually get stronger? Because I go to the gym or I start a home training program or, whatever, wherever it might be that you're starting strengthening, and you feel like, wow, like I must have bigger muscles now. But if you actually do, like, sometimes personal trainers will do like the measurements, and you're like, wow, nothing's changed. All of this work is for nothing. Is that the case though, Dr. Bobbie? Is that work in the beginning phase for nothing because you're not seeing a bigger muscle yet?
Absolutely not. It is, the day one when you start strengthening, you're making changes in your body. I love to use this in rehab because people will ask, well, how long before I'm stronger, especially after surgery or anything? And I'm like, well, and the short answer is actually see changes in hypertrophy to really have that muscle physically getting bigger and stronger. You need 12 weeks. That's 3 months of consistent 3 to 4 times a week going to the gym and using the muscles. Then at that 12-week point is when you'll actually start to see changes and you'll actually see the muscle get stronger. But before that, there's so much going on that's important. So, Dr. Jess, tell us about those first 4, 8 weeks. Like, what's happening? Because we all feel it. You go to the gym 2, 3 weeks. If you've gone for a month, you started at 5 pounds, now you're at 8. Like, you're lifting more weight. So, why is the muscle then not getting bigger? And we call that hypertrophy, is when the muscle itself physically gets bigger.
Well, the beginning phases, essentially, when you're doing movement, especially loaded movement, is that there's a lot that is happening at the level of the brain. And so there's an area of the brain called your motor cortex. And that's where the signal is being sent to tell the muscle what to do. So, an easy example that I kind of think of like motor cortex is if you go to lift up, let's say, like this cup, right? I go to lift up this cup, but my brain perceived that this cup was going to be heavy, right? It's like, no, that's filled with concrete. My brain is going to recruit more muscle in my arm to prepare me for that activity. And so now I go to lift up the cup and I'm like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting it to be so light. So that's an example of how the brain talks to muscles to tell them what to do and how to coordinate as well. So it's not like my bicep is the only thing that's working when I lift that cup. That is not the case. I have actually a lot of muscles that are activating in order for me to do that safely, to be able to load the body. My core activates, I don't even think about it. It just, boom, that muscle is going to shut on. The really, really deep core muscle called the transverse abdominis, that muscle is going to shut on. Muscles in my shoulder blade are going to shut on because everything's going to start to hold my body still before I recruit this lever arm. So my brain is going to send all of these signals in a healthy body. Okay, healthy is the key with this. Then I'm going to think about, oh, I've got to grip that cup, right? So my muscles in my forearm are going to actually start to recruit to hold onto the cup. And then, boom, there goes my bicep, brachialis as well, to bend my elbow to lift it off. So there's a huge series of recruitment that happens. what happens with underuse or injury either is that that series kind of becomes a little bit all over the place. It's not that organized. So when you're in the gym or you're at home and you're specifically working on some movement pattern and you're giving it attention, you're like, that's telling your brain, oh, this is valuable. Like you want to do this better. So the brain is going to go, oh, that you value? Okay, cool. Let's figure that out. And so now you're going to think about, okay, I'm doing my bicep curls. I'm tall in my posture. I'm being nice and controlled with my form. I'm gripping really well. I'm not loosey-goosey in my wrists. So now you're going to actually start to change how the brain is sending the signal for the motor recruitment of the muscles. And when you do that well, you're going to be able to lift more weight. You're just going to, because you're going to have a better team approach to do the
Mhm.
activity that you're asking your body to do. And so that is not a bigger muscle. You're just more efficient with your brain talking to all of the team members. It's actually really, really, really cool if you think about it. For like Dr. Bobbie and I, this is like the stuff we geek out about. Like it is so fun.
Well, I'd love to also explain, like, we think of a muscle as this like one item, right? Like a straw. We think of it as a straw. And any of you guys know the pull apart Twizzlers? You know, the Twizzlers that have like all the little strings and you peel that Twizzler down. Well, that's your muscle. And so when your body is recruiting and sending those nerve signals, all those different fibers, so all those different peel aparts of the Twizzlers have nerves coming to them. And when you first start working, only one of those little pull aparts is being oh gosh, what's the word? Activated. There we go. They're
Yeah.
getting the signal that they need to fire. And then as you continue, so in those first few weeks of working out, what's happening is now more of those peel apart from the Twizzler are getting signals to fire. So imagine the strength difference if you have 10 of those fibers of one fiber activating and contracting to create a movement versus 10 of them. You're going to be much stronger. So, in those beginning phases, your body's learning how to recruit more muscle fibers, how to work together better, and how to be, as Dr. Jess said, more efficient. So, like, yes, you are going to see strength improvements in the regards of being able to lift more weight, not being as fatigued, not being as sore. You're going to see those improvements because your body's learning and it's getting better at being able to do it. But you're not going to see the actual hypertrophy of the muscle yet. That's not until you do that consistently. And Dr. Jess, when we talk about consistently, what would you say on average? Everyone's a little bit different, but if you're doing a full body global workout, and not doing like a leg day, an arm day, a core day, if you're doing a full body workout, how often would you need to do that each week to for it to be considered that consistency needed for improvement and for hypertrophy?
So if you're doing a whole body, so again, like all at once, so it's going to be a little bit of a longer workout, then that's going to be typically 2 to 3 days a week where you're going to see gains. If you want large muscle, okay, like you really want, like you want to look bulky, you're going to have to be at 3 to 4. So it just kind of like it depends on what your goals are. So I personally don't have goals to look bulky and to really want large muscle. So my goals relate more around function. Like I want to be able to do a lot of different tasks. So I mix up a lot of my workouts so that I do run and I do bike and I do yard work and I do whole body workouts and my mobility, right? So I kind of blend that all together into the course of the week. Because like honestly, like running is one of my bigger goals. And I really want to make sure that I am hitting those targets as well as strength. But I've got patients and people that that I know that really have goals where they want to bulk. And so if that's what you want, then you're going to have to put more eggs into the basket of strength. And so kind of hitting that like closer to 4 days a week of and you want to give you got to give some breaks in between. You can't just hit it hard every single day back to back. That's why I say 4, not 7. Because you still want to cross train. Still got to get in some cardio, mobility, flexibility. It all plays into being able to use that muscle effectively or muscles effectively. But that's going to be kind of like the recommended. And then maintaining is different than gaining.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
maintaining muscle mass is a little bit of a different concept than wanting to build muscle mass. To go from like, the faster you want to go from start to finish is going to take more work. And then once you get it, then to maintain it is a little bit different. So sometimes,
Mhm.
you can maintain it 2 days a week. Not big, 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 but you can maintain strength at 2 days a week with a good coordinated workout.
And I love okay, so I'd love to go and kind of clarify the definition of using the word bulky. And I think we need to make sure we clarify bulky versus definition. I think those are two, while connected, different things. Bulky is the, I think you think of like the weightlifters, the people that have like really big muscles.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with that, it's depending on goals. Like if they're wanting to lift 500 pounds, they're going to have huge muscles to be able to do that. But then there's also definition, and you can have definition at any size of muscle, and but definition is going to come more from your nutrition.
Yep.
Um, and I think just clarifying that, like bulky doesn't mean definition.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, you can have a very thick layer of adipose over the muscle. Adipose is just fat. So if you have a really thick layer of fat over that muscle, you can have a very large muscle, but you're not going to see it well, you know?
Mhm.
And so that's where the nutritional component comes in, is making sure that you have that healthy balance between, body mass index. Not that we rate ourselves based on that, but we want to kind of see like how much of our body mass is muscle, how much is fat, how much is other stuff. And so that percentage of muscle to fat, and fat is healthy. We need fat in our body. So 0% body fat would be somebody that is not healthy. Women need a
Oh my
high
gosh, I think it's even like below 8, right? Or something. Like
Oh yeah, you're
it,
like malnourished, your body's not actually
yeah.
functioning well, things start breaking down. You need body fat. We just don't need a large percentage of it. And so, and women need more body fat than men. Okay, so the norm for women is different than the norm for men. And that's okay because we're different than men. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean you look fat. It just means you're not like men are just typically gonna have more of that, like that taper. They just aren't gonna have as much of the curve, and that's okay. Like that's how your body is healthy. So our definition of health when we look in the mirror sometimes needs work, right? Whether a female or a male. And being able to kind of think about like what are my actual goals and how do I put my health first and then have my goals fit into that. And but I do think it's a good point to say is that getting bulky, because I have females that are like, I don't want to look bulky, so I don't want to strengthen at all. So, Dr. Bobbie, if you do whole body strengthening, are you going to look bulky no matter what? Right,
No, no,
right,
not at all. So if you want to gain and have that large, and I don't want to use the definition, you want to have that large looking muscle, it's
right.
a lot of work. It's a lot of weight. It is not easy to get that. People that do obtain that amount of muscle have tried and put a lot of effort into it. Um,
It's
and
heavy. You have
it,
to push some heavy weight to get that.
mhm.
And if you're not pushing heavy weight and you're doing like moderate weight, you're not gonna get that bulk. You're just not
And think of heavy as being like multiple 100 pounds,
like
not
heavy.
like 800 pounds.
Yeah.
We have a friend, I don't know if you've seen her, but a girl we went to school with, and she's gotten into CrossFit and she's doing amazing and she's lifting really heavy, but she doesn't look bulky. But she
Mhm.
can lift, oh my gosh, I think 200-300 pounds,
Oh,
like
yeah. Like heavy.
she is amazing. And she still does not look bulky. She's very defined. She looks great.
Defined. Yeah.
And yeah, so happy for her. But to get bulk, you have to try very hard. It is a lot of effort. They a lot of times have coaches that are looking at nutrition, that are looking at very specific programs of what weight they need to lift. And you're looking at probably weights that you're never going to even think about lifting.
I don't.
Me neither. I don't have the need to. Most of us, if you're staying under, lifting under the 100, 150 pounds, most of us aren't even doing that. Most of us grab our 5, 10, 15 pound dumbbells and off we head. You're not gonna build that amount, that hypertrophy, that mass of muscle at that low weight.
Yeah. And I think, and again, that's just a bit of a misconception of if
Hmm.
I strength train, I'm not going to look the way I want to look. And you know, the good news is that when you have tone and strength in your muscles, one, it helps you with everyday movement. But two, it's actually good for your metabolism because the muscle has metabolism. So it's going to help with overall just how you maintain that percentage of body fat to muscle mass. Just having the muscle mass will help manage that body fat percentage alone. Just that alone
Hmm.
helps,
Hmm.
even without any dietary changes. Now, obviously, like maintaining healthy dietary habits plus hydration habits is also
Sleep.
like, yeah, adequate sleep. It all plays into it. But like it's a really big part of the story, and maintaining strength is never the wrong answer. Like really, it's never wrong. It will only help to support your joints. It'll help to support your posture. It helps to support every movement that you want to do, whether it's picking up a kid, picking up a grocery bag, being able to like, oh my gosh, we're gonna move. You don't feel like, oh, I can't do this by myself, right? There's times where it's like you want to feel empowered. And so if you
Hmm.
maintain strength, like you will need to ask for help less. I hate asking for help, so it's like I despise it. I know I have
Yeah.
to, and I practice asking, but it's not fun.
Yes. So if you are looking and you're like, okay, I want to start strengthening, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Um, I highly, highly suggest you need to check out Dr. Jess made a course. It's called Exercise Where to Start. Dr. Jess, tell us a little bit about that course, and why they should look into it. If you're looking, yeah, I know you said you don't like to ask for help, but if you're looking to start something new, ask for help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I have to do it all the time, like really all the time. So in this course, I essentially set it up to start at the beginning. And so we say, do you have what you need to be able to exercise safely? Because I'm a physical therapist. I treat people in pain all the time. And oftentimes, what I'm treating is because somebody didn't have the precursors of what they needed, and then they loaded their body in a way that it just couldn't sustain, right? So if we take a step back and before we load our body, we say, do we have enough shoulder motion, enough hip motion, enough ankle motion? Like, do we have, what does our recovery system of our heart rate look like? So it's just like an easy screen. I walk you through it. You do it on your own. You kind of fill out, yeah, I nailed that one. No, I didn't nail that one. Yes, I nailed that one. No, I didn't nail that one. And guess what? It's okay if you didn't nail it because then I'm going to go through, hey, this is how you're going to correct this. This is how you're going to correct this. This is how you're going to correct this. So you'll fill in your gaps. You're going to learn how to fill those in. So now you're like, okay, great. I have this complete checklist. I feel good. Then we start with the concept of what is exercise? What is it? Because everybody has this different definition. So we just take that step back and look at what it is, whether it's cardio, mobility, flexibility, strengthening. And then when we think about strengthening, what's included in that? So, am I strengthening just my biceps? Am I strengthening global muscles versus stabilizing muscles? What does a whole body workout look like? How do I implement it? And how do I implement it efficiently? So, you don't really need to spend hours in the gym strengthening unless you want big, big goals. Okay, yes. But like if you're just like the everyday person that's like, I just want to feel stronger, I want to be healthier. Like, me, I don't have these huge goals right now. I really want to like focus like in this balanced life so I don't have too many
Hmm.
eggs in one basket. So I have to be efficient with what I do because I also have work and kids and, a husband and family and everything else that I also have to manage in a day. So I have to make sure I'm prioritizing my time when I exercise to be efficient and when I spend that time, that I'm getting something out of it that's meaningful. So ROI, return on my investment of time
Hmm.
spent. So my time and everybody's time is, there is no more time in a day. It's preset. So you
Yeah.
can't buy more, you can't trade for more. It just is what it is. And so time is so valuable. How you spend your time, you really want to be looking for a return on the investment of that time spent. And so that's the premise of the course, is if you're going to invest time in exercise, make sure you know what to do to get the best investment out of it. And as you end the course, you'll know how to set up a full body routine. You can do circuit training. You'll know how to advance your exercises. You'll know how to build out a full comprehensive week of exercise, which includes cardiovascular, strengthening, mobility, and flexibility in a time efficient way. Listen, I'm crazy busy, and if I can implement it, like it is possible, I promise. It just doesn't have to look like maybe what you've seen before. You can actually make it look like what you want it to look like. And that's the whole point, is that it's going to look different for everybody. How I exercise is different than how Bobbie exercises, is different than how other people in our lives exercise. We all are going to do what's going to be best for us, how our day looks, who's in our life, who our accountability partner could be, what equipment we have accessible. It all plays into creating your individualized plan. And you're the best person to know what's going to work well for you anyway. Honest answer. So Anyway, a little bit of a long-winded answer, but that's the course, right? It's essentially like 4 lessons, and you just do it at your own pace. It's pre-recorded, and the link will be in the episode description.
And I think for our viewers, there will be a special discount code below to give you a little bit of percentage off. I think you should go check it out. I think it would be really helpful, especially for those getting started or for those that have always kind of done the same thing. It will help kind of change up your routine some.
Or if you're like hitting a plateau, or just like you're like, this is like, I'm kind of burned out. There's really no reason to be burned out with exercise. There's like 5 million ways you can implement it. Like, honest answer. I've been like, I get a little tired of this, so I do that. I get a little tired of this, so I do that. You just kind of keep changing up a little bit, and which is actually great for your brain, neurogenesis in the brain. So it's all very preventative for neurodegenerative disease, which I don't want. All I can do is try on the prevention level to do what I can. What happens is what happens. But it's really exercise. There's so many benefits. Like, it's,
Yeah.
time spent with exercise. It's fantastic, actually.
Mhm.
So
So go for it. Hit subscribe below. Follow us on all the platforms. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Give us a shout out. Put down below any questions you may have. We'd love to answer them.
yeah, or any like episodes you're like, hey, I've been really wondering about X, Y, or Z. Then we'll kind of put it into the episode lineup and do a recording so everybody else can learn from the answer to that question. All right, everybody, we'll see you next week.